Your heart is jackhammering. Your chest is tight. Your brain is screaming that something terrible is about to happen. You're not on a battlefield. You're in a grocery store. Marcus Aurelius faced actual death. Germanic tribes, plague, betrayal from his own generals. Yet his private journals reveal a mind that remained unshakable. You face an email inbox and spiral into paralysis. The self-help industry has lied to you. Breathing exercises give you 90 seconds of relief before the dread returns. Gratitude journals collect dust. Therapy costs $200 per hour, and you still can't sleep. The Roman emperor wrote a manual for mental warfare, not for publication, for survival. You're about to learn why it works when everything else fails. Aurelius documented 8 mental operations. He battle-tested protocols that kept him functional while ruling an empire that was actively collapsing. 7 of them are powerful. One of them, Lesson 4, was so effective that Roman senators refused to discuss it in public. They called it the mind killer, because once you understood it, fear stopped being an option. Philosophers have spent centuries debating whether Aurelius discovered this technique or invented it. Neuroscience now confirms he was mapping brain chemistry 1,800 years before fMRI machines existed. We're building to it. But if I hand it to you now, you'll miss the foundation. And the foundation is what makes it permanent. Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Translation: your anxiety isn't caused by the thing. It's caused by your verdict about the thing. Your brain has 2 systems. When the amygdala reacts, the prefrontal cortex interprets. When you see a dog, your amygdala flags potential threat. Your prefrontal cortex decides friendly golden retriever or rabid wolf. Anxiety happens when you let the amygdala run the verdict. The traffic jam isn't creating your rage. Your judgment that this shouldn't be happening is creating your rage. The traffic is neutral. Physics in motion. Practical deployment. Next time you feel the spike, ask one question. What verdict am I running right now? Not, why is this happening to me? That's victim language. What verdict am I choosing about this neutral event? Your amygdala will still fire. That's hardware. But you're installing new software that stops the spiral before it compounds. The average person experiences 27 anxiety spikes per day. 26 of them are self-inflicted verdicts about neutral events. You're learning to diffuse them in real time. The Stoics practiced negative visualization. Modern psychology calls it exposure therapy. Your brain fears the unknown, so you rehearse the worst outcome until it becomes known. Aurelius would sit in silence and imagine losing his children, his empire, his sanity, not to torture himself, to drain the fear of its power. Here's the neuroscience. Your amygdala can't distinguish between real threats and imagined ones. When you visualize disaster, your brain experiences a microdose of the fear response. Cortisol spikes, then drops, spikes, then drops. Over time, the amygdala learns, we survived this scenario. The threat loses its electrical charge. You're desensitizing your panic button. Practical deployment. Spend 3 minutes every morning imagining your biggest current fear actually happening. Not vaguely, specifically. Your business fails. You lose $100,000. You have to move back in with your parents at 35. Then ask, would I survive this? The answer is always yes. And your brain logs the data. The fear doesn't disappear. It shrinks. From a grizzly bear to a house cat. If you're still watching, you've already separated yourself from 90% of people who clicked this video. Most people want the dopamine hit of feeling productive. You're here for the operating system upgrade. We're halfway to lesson 4. Stay locked. Epictetus, Aurelius's predecessor, split reality into two buckets: things you control and things you don't. You control your thoughts, your actions, your responses. You don't control other people, the weather, the economy, your genetics, the past. Anxiety is what happens when you try to control bucket 2. Your brain is a prediction machine. It burns 20% of your body's energy trying to forecast and manipulate outcomes. When you aim that energy at things outside your control, you create a metabolic debt. Chronic cortisol, adrenal fatigue, the feeling that you're running on a treadmill that's also on fire. Here's a practical deployment. Write down everything causing you stress right now, every item. Then mark each one. Control or no control. For the no control list, you have one job. Stop spending processing power on it. You can't control if your boss approves your raise. You can control the quality of your work and whether you apply to other jobs. You can't control if your partner stays with you. You can control whether you're someone worth staying with. This isn't resignation. This is precision. You're redirecting your finite energy toward the 10% of reality you can actually shape. The Stoics won because they stopped fighting unwinnable wars. Here it is, the thing Roman senators whispered about in private. Aurelius called it prosoj, continuous attention to your mental impressions. Every thought that enters your mind is a proposal, not a fact. A proposal. Your brain generates thousands of proposals per day. That person hates me. I'm going to fail. This pain means I'm dying. Anxiety happens when you auto-accept these proposals without review. The discipline of assent is the 0.5-second pause between impression and belief. You catch the proposal. You examine it. Then you either accept it or dismiss it. Neuroscience calls this metacognition, thinking about thinking. Your default mode network generates thoughts automatically, but you have a veto button, the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. It can flag a thought as irrelevant or distorted before it becomes emotional. Here's the biological hack. When you practice this pause, you're literally strengthening the neural pathway between your default mode network and your dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. You're building a mental firewall. So for the next 48 hours, treat every anxious thought as a stranger knocking on your door. Don't let them in automatically. Ask, is this thought accurate, or is this my fear talking? Most of the time, it's fear cosplaying as logic. You're not suppressing the thought. You're auditing it. And 80% of your anxious thoughts will fail the audit. This is what the Roman elite feared. A human who could choose which thoughts to empower and which to starve. They couldn't manipulate someone who controlled their own assent. You just became unmanageable. Aurelius didn't just accept bad events. He argued they were necessary. Your breakup, your bankruptcy, your diagnosis, not random, required. This sounds like toxic positivity until you understand the biology. Your brain has a negativity bias. It's evolutionarily wired to remember threats more than rewards. 5 compliments don't erase 1 insult. That's not a bug. That's survival code from when predators were real. But in the modern world, this bias creates a distortion. You catastrophize. You ruminate. You treat every setback as evidence that the universe is rigged against you. Amor fati is the cognitive reframe that breaks the loop. Instead of, why is this happening to me? You ask, why is this happening for me? I want you to do this. Take your worst recent event, the thing you replay in your head at 2 a.m. Now reverse engineer one skill it forced you to develop. You got fired. You learned you were too dependent on external validation. You got cheated on. You learned your boundary setting was weak. You failed the exam. You learned your preparation method was broken. This isn't about silver linings. This is about extracting data from pain, so your brain stops categorizing it as wasted suffering. Once you mine the lesson, the resentment loses its grip. You've now absorbed 5 protocols that emperors used to rule during plagues and wars. Most people will watch this video and do nothing. They'll feel inspired for 11 minutes and return to their default programming. You're different. You're cataloging these as tools, not entertainment. 3 more lessons, then you deploy. Now this is very important. Remember, you will die. Aurelius kept a skull on his desk, not to be morbid, to create urgency. Your anxiety is often about trivial things that feel enormous because you're living as if you have infinite time. The argument with your coworker, the Instagram comment, the delayed flight. Memento mori is the perspective shift that collapses false emergencies. Here's the neuroscience. Your brain's anterior cingulate cortex detects conflict. When someone criticizes you, it fires the same pain signals as a physical wound. Your brain genuinely can't tell the difference between a Twitter insult and a knife cut. But when you activate your mortality awareness, you engage the temporoparietal junction. This region handles perspective taking. It allows you to zoom out and ask, will this matter in 5 years? Will this matter on my deathbed? 97% of the time, the answer is no. So do this. Set a daily reminder on your phone. You have approximately 29,000 days to live. About 11,000 are already gone. What are you optimizing for? This isn't depressing. This is calibration. You'll stop arguing about parking spots. You'll stop doom scrolling. You'll stop postponing the conversation you know you need to have. Death is the deadline that makes life legible. Here Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Your brain hates obstacles. They trigger a stress response because they represent unpredictability. But obstacles aren't detours. They're curriculum. The Stoics believed resistance was how the universe taught you what you needed to learn next. If everything came easy, you'd be weak, fragile, incapable of handling complexity. Neuroscience confirms this through hormesis. Controlled stress makes you stronger. Cold exposure, weight training, fasting. Your body adapts by building resilience. Your mind works the same way. The project that's failing is teaching you project management. The relationship that's hard is teaching you communication. The injury is teaching you patience. When this is what you should do, identify your current biggest obstacle. Now ask, what skill is this forcing me to develop that I'll need for the next decade? If you're broke, you're learning resourcefulness. If you're injured, you're learning adaptation. If you're rejected, you're learning persistence. The obstacle isn't blocking your path. It is your path. And once you internalize this, setbacks stop feeling like setbacks. They feel like assignments. The final lesson. The perspective that destroys existential dread. Aurelius would imagine himself rising above Rome, then above the earth, then above the solar system. From that vantage point, his problems shrank to subatomic scale. Your brain operates on 2 modes, narrow focus and broad awareness. Narrow focus is task-oriented. Broad awareness is context-oriented. Anxiety happens when you're locked in narrow focus for too long. You're zoomed in on the threat until it fills your entire visual field. The view from above is the manual override. You're forcing your brain into broad awareness. Neuroscience calls this cognitive diffusion. You're creating distance between yourself and your thoughts. Practical deployment. When anxiety hits, close your eyes. Picture yourself from across the room, then from above your building, then from above your city, then from space. Watch yourself shrink. Watch your problem shrink with you. You're not dismissing your pain. You're contextualizing it. From space, your breakup is a blip. Your financial stress is a pixel. Your embarrassing moment is undetectable. This doesn't mean it doesn't matter. It means it doesn't have to consume you. The universe is 13.8 billion years old. You are a flash. Your anxiety is a flash within a flash. Act accordingly. You now have 8 tools. The same 8 tools that kept a Roman emperor sane while his world burned. Here's what happens next. Most people will close this video and forget 90% of what they just heard within 72 hours. That's the Ebbinghaus forgetting curve. Passive consumption creates no behavioral change. You're going to do something different. Within the next 60 minutes, you're going to apply Lesson 1, the internal locus. Something will irritate you today. A text, a headline, a driver who cuts you off. When it happens, stop. Ask, what verdict am I running right now about this neutral event? That's it. One application. One proof of concept. Because once you see it work in real time, your brain will start hunting for opportunities to use the other 7. You have a choice. You can return to the algorithms, the infinite scroll, the anxiety industrial complex that profits from your fear. Or you can become the kind of person who doesn't break when the pressure comes. Marcus Aurelius didn't write Meditations for you. He wrote it for himself, a private manual to survive the unsurvivable. You just stole it. Now prove it wasn't wasted on you. Apply Lesson 1 in the next 60 minutes, or delete this video from your memory. The clock starts now.